Red 2 standing by, all full lit, and in the green, welcome back to Metroid Prime, and we get a pretty funky little decal on Samus's gun there. Let's move into this room, and we'll wind up facing a new boss. There's a giant hive on the ceiling, which I don't think we have to scan, but I'm going to double check. What we do have to scan, definitely, is the incinerator drone. Programmed for high temperature waste disposal. Device schematics indicate a high risk of malfunction when internal power core is damaged. Unit has minimal combat programming, but can defend itself if necessary. This drone's intense heat blasts compensate for its lack of battle prowess. So we can't scan that hive. This is a very good fight for learning about strafing and also... Excuse me, allow me to take a... Sir! Bloody hate insects. This is a barbed war wasp. As with the ram war wasp, the boss fight in which you encounter them is the only chance you have to scan them. Don't miss them. Airborne insect with the ability to launch its stinger at prey. A highly aggressive member of the war wasp family, this insect can propel the tip of its stinger up to 20 meters. The stinger tips regrow seconds after launch and contain an acidic compound designed to pre-digest prey. So this thing is basically like Beedrill's space-dwelling cousin. Quickly switch targets, jump over or duck under those jets of flame, and hammer the incinerator drone's weak point. It is such a shame that we don't get this really funky piece of music more often. So one more round of this will see the incinerator drone done and dusted. Thankfully, it's not very strong. And the hive being destroyed takes out all the barbed war wasps in the room. It's blown to bits and we get the Morph Ball bomb. We can't bomb jump anywhere near as well as we can in Super Metroid. It's very basic. We only have access to 3 bombs we can drop at a time. Now if we follow that little channel... Sandstone. And we get a missile tank in a little hideaway. And we're also getting a 10-pack of missiles. Shades of Diddy Kong Racing. The 10-pack was always a lot of fun. I like getting that and using fireworks at the end of a race, basically. But I also like using things such as the green balloons. The cheat codes that let you do things like that were a lot of fun. Anyway, we can cruise through here and we can now traverse the dynamo. That area we were just in earlier. Whoa! Well, that worked. It was extremely unstylish, but it worked. Oh, before I do, let's get the scan visor out. You'll be using that a lot. Scan everything. Standard Morph Ball slot. This slot is active. Inserting the Morph Ball and detonating a bomb will usually cause these slots to send electrical impulses that can activate different types of devices. So we'll set ourselves up with a well-timed bomb jump. The water will drain. We can go through here. Jump up here. Get to the... Ah. this is what we want to do. So we will raise platforms by doing this. Thankfully, the water will now stay lowered. Also, pay attention to those platforms moving because I didn't. I was stupid. I thought there was a pickup off that way. So, stick 1, 2, 3, and around here. And behind us. There we are, all the platforms are powered and we can move on to get the bounty at the end of this room. Once we've done that, that lock will disengage. Be very careful. So all we have to do is just jump across here. Only have the one jump. I'm not great at platforming for some reason. Maybe it's just me being a little incompetent. Or a bit rusty, so I'm a bit sad some of the rust hasn't been retained. Now, this is a magnetic rail track. We can actually use this later on. We will need the spider ball, so we can't go very far except through here. We can jump. We can roll on and we will get another energy tank. So, worth noting, as I said, the spider ball is what we'll need in order to get to the upper area of this room, which is the furnace. Now, I did not actually know that the spider ball debuted in Metroid 2. Quite a lot of people wouldn't. It allowed you to crawl along walls of any kind. In this game, it only allows you to crawl on magnetic rails. It also appears in Metroid Prime 2. You can use the boost ball to jump from the spider ball rails. So, with a couple of energy tanks under our belt and most of our basic equipment, we can move on. We can dodge the ions if we like by coming under here. Simple Morph Ball bomb takes care of sandstone. And off we go. So now we can actually go and get the charge beam because it's a bit easier to do so while grabbing the Morph Ball bombs. Because if we have those, then we actually have access to another pickup in there that we would otherwise have to come back for. So it's just over this way. Now, I erroneously stated that the charge beam was optional in a number of Metroid games. It actually first appears, to the best of my knowledge, in Super Metroid. And it is actually not optional, for the most part, across the series. It is entirely optional in Super Metroid, let's be honest about that. There's another missile. We are going for 100%, as I said. Now, it's optional in Super Metroid, but you need it in this game because that is how you get the Super Missile charge combo. You will need the charge beam to perform your charge combos, which are varying in usefulness. The Super Missile, the charge beam combo, is very useful. And the wave beams, the wave buster is there, but it does have its uses. The ice spreader is slow but powerful. Now, we have to scan 4 runic symbols in this room. There is one just over there. So, that is activated, and the ones on the gate will activate. Now, if we snipe the blast caps, we will be able to wind up activating that one. Now, it's interesting to note that in Zero Mission, the charge beam is also technically optional as well. Now, is there one down here? So you had the charge beam worked in. There's the third one as part of Zero Mission, but it was actually optional. And there's the fourth one. But of course, there's a fifth one. We have to go around and jump all the way back up. So, in Super Metroid, Zero Mission, Metroid Prime, and interestingly enough, Metroid Fusion, the charge beam was actually a pickup. It was mandatory in Fusion, and you obtained it from defeating the Core X that took over the Chozo statue. Interestingly enough, the charge beam would actually slightly power up your beam in Metroid Fusion compared to other games. That is, your default shots. Now, quite cheeky, scan the middle of that. And we have some Chozo Law as well. We also have dormant ions. So, more Chozo Law. Unforeseen by sages, a meteor came as if from nowhere, casting a dark shadow of debris over the land with the violence of its impact. Its destructive force spent, the fallen star burned itself out rapidly, and the incident should have faded into memory. But the meteor brought with it corruption. A great poison burst forth into the land, a strange energy that clawed at natural life with a ferocity that seemed almost sentient. Bound by our ignorance of this phenomenon, we Chozo could only watch in horror as this dark force slowly began to spread across the surface of Tallon IV. So, before we do anything with the charge beam, let's bomb this. We can make our way through this winding tunnel, destroy another one of these, and a missile shot will allow us to get another missile expansion. We will have to come back here, admittedly, because there is a path with a spider ball. We won't be able... A spider ball rail, sorry. We won't be able to get that for some time. So let's make our way back in and wind up getting our charge beam. Very nice indeed. So, we saw the charge beam before, press and hold A to charge, release to fire. And now the ions activate. Now, it's time for that classic Metroid instructional level design. This looks like the sort of nightmarish laser field that not even Catherine Zeta-Jones in Entrapment would be able to sneak past with style. You can stun them, but the charge beam actually destroys ions outright. So basically, you've got the opportunity to test out your charge beam and discover what it does. Like I said, instructional level design shows you the power of charged shots. Still won't really allow us to do much against the Reaper Vines, because they will just retract. A good charge shot will destroy most of a cluster of blast caps. They are kind of cheap and don't leave us pickups. I also haven't been doing anything stupid and landing in the water for a change. As before, tractor beam effect. Well, there we are. I landed in the water for you. Now we're all good to go. So we can make our way back through this area. And let's move on. We actually have pretty much everything we need to take on the boss of this area. Which is pretty fortunate, all things considered. But of course, there's still plenty more to do in classic Metroid style. So before we do wind up heading through the Arboretum and going to bash the boss, what I'm going to do is make my way back to the Talon overworld. Excuse me, I'm trying to monologue. So, basically we need to scan the various runic symbols around here, but we're not going to do that just yet. I will actually see you back at Talon Canyon, which will be probably the best location to go if we're looking for some of our goodies. Okay, catch you there. So of course there is something else I can do. Now, we had sandstone over here. There's another missile expansion and we'll annoy the plated beetle. We'll actually annoy several beetles. That was surprisingly smooth, all things considered. Let's see, make our way past the abundance of scarabs. Do we have any more? And of course, we will be able to find a few more missile expansions here and there. So, back to travelling. Well, here we are back in Talon Canyon. Let's go through that upper doorway that was cut off by missile doors. I know they're technically blast shields, but I'm used to calling them missile doors. That's what they are. At least that's what I say they are, which is admittedly wrong, so you shouldn't listen to me on that front. So, Gemas effortlessly destroyed by a missile. If we head over here, we'll be able to deal with that blood flower. And there we are. It's very quickly dealt with. A missile shot leads us into the root cave, which has a plasma beam door at the top. What we want is to head all the way down to the bottom. Now, this can be done a lot later on. We get a bit of a shooting gallery as long as we stay up and out of their way. Curses, why do I have to be so tall? Damn you, short insect thing. According to Guidebook for Super Metroid, Samus is 6'3" outside her armor. That's pretty impressive. So, that's what we came down here for, another missile expansion. It's a bit of a diversion, but I think we'll head back to the landing site and I'll see you there. Alrighty, here we are back at the landing site. If we head to the tunnel behind our ship, we can see tangleweeds. Get down into Morph Ball form. And we get ourselves one more missile expansion. If we head through here, we might be able to roll around and get to this doorway. We can go and explore a little bit. So let's get down into the Morph Ball and see what we can discover. Maybe we shouldn't be here. Let's move very carefully. Okay, these are flying pirates. Pirates trained and equipped for airborne assault. Flying pirates are extremely agile in the air, but the heat signatures of their jetpacks can be tracked with thermal imaging. While their missiles are extremely potent, their jetpacks can be even more so. If the pack fails, they will make a suicide strike. Let's see if I can take them on. Oh, they nicked off! We also get to scan this, which appears to be the same type of container found on the Space Pirate Research Frigate. The material seeping out from the ruptured metal is highly toxic. Analysis indicates that this may be the phazon compound the Space Pirates were using in their biological experiments. So, there is not really that much we can do at the moment. You might recognize that there's something sticking out of the ground. This is the frigate crash site. So in other words, this is where the frigate Orpheon landed. We can't travel through here without the ice beam. We also can't get across without having the gravity suit. Wonder if there's an enemy we can scan under here. Well, we can make it through here, but it's going to be a bit problematic. As you can see, there's a bit of rust setting in. I'm starting to mess around. What was that? Oh, the game's telling me I need to go a certain way. But it has at least told us where the main source of toxins in the ruins is. So that's where our boss is, but I'm not really worried about the boss. I'm worried about messing around and doing my own thing and trying to find where I'm going underwater. We also can't see very well underwater. And we can't jump up there, so we are going to be a bit stuck for now. Thankfully, we have some tree roots we can walk along. Where do I go now? This way. At least we wound up getting a scan for a space pirate that we would normally encounter later on. That will actually come in handy because it will mean that when we do encounter flying pirates in proper battles, we can start blasting. So let's wrap up the other things we can find around the landing site, and then we'll be done for this particular episode, I think. I'll start episode 5 off by collecting a few other things we might not be able to, and I'll probably see you back in the Chozo ruins. So, if we head up this way where I was messing around earlier, we can observe this moss. Well, lichen actually. I believe there are technical differences anyway. This lichen seems to be giving off low levels of radiation. No matches found in Flora and Fauna databank. So there we go, we sneak around. And if we head through here, I'll shoot the one closest to us. These things are good shots. These are seedlings, plant-based ground feeders. Dorsal spines can be ejected in self-defense. So we can jump over all that, and we move on to the impact crater. This is where the meteor that hit Tallon IV struck all that time ago. And we get some pirate data. Field team reports are in on an aged structure of alien design built on the surface of Tallon IV. Studies show this structure projects a containment field. This field bars access to a prime source of energy within a deep crater. Science team believes the field is powered by a number of strange Chozo artifacts. Studies on possible resting places for these talismans have begun. As this field could hinder future energy production operations on Tallon IV, we must dismantle it as soon as possible. If this means the destruction of the Chozo artifacts, it will be done. They really don't care about anyone else. Make it through here. Wait for the door to open. Bit of a problem with Metroid Prime. The doors are like loading zones. And we have some Chozo Law at both ends of this room. Throughout our living nightmare, as we battle this unyielding darkness, we Chozo see a light. This light glows with promise, chasing the shadows cast by the great poison and purifying that which has grown toxic. It is strange, though. At times it looks to our eyes as if the light coalesces into the figure of a woman. Burning brightly, the luminescence descends from space, then retreats back into the infinite blackness from whence it came. When this prophecy comes to pass, when the light recedes, the Chozo's long vigilance of containment will finally come to an end. We arrived a bit late to save the Chozo on Tallon IV, but we can definitely take care of that poison. The containment of the Great Poison. This task has fallen to the Chozo, and we will not flee from our duty, even as we suffer with the land and its creatures. We will pour our will into the 12, the artifacts that, when brought together, form the lock that holds this great evil at bay in the depths of the planet. This lock must stand up to all who might come to assault it. To preserve the power of the seal, and to protect it from those who would meddle for their own designs, we will spread the artifacts across the land, hiding them from prying eyes. The lock must never open until the day comes when this disaster can finally be put right. So, the figure they see is, of course, their adopted child, Samus Aran. We head down into the temple. And, amid the statues, we find a Chozo artifact. Collect it, then scan the totems here for clues on the locations of the remaining artifacts. Together, the artifacts will open a path to the center of the impact crater. The artifact of truth. And we get a fancy little symbol right in the middle of our pause screen. Now, if you pay attention, you will actually see that all of these lore entries are laid out in chronological order. Not for the creatures, though. So, we have a bit of energy on that central totem. And certain statues will wind up giving us information. It's good to scan these, but you will get information from getting the artifacts themselves. Invaders have claimed Phendrana as their own. A tower sits atop their fortress. Collapse it to reveal the chamber where the artifact of Elder is held. The artifact of truth has been returned. Not all of these statues offer up clues as far as I know. There is a tower within the ruins where light always shines. Move through the waters there to find the artifact of Life Giver. So not everything does give us clues, which is a little bothersome, but hey. We'll do what we can. In one of Talon's far corners, a grove of life lies. Reveal the pillar beneath the waves to find the artifact of Chozo. The heat of Magmoor was a test for many warriors. A shrine in their honor holds the artifact of strength. A sun chamber high atop our ruined home became the nest of a great beast and a source of corruption. Many Chozo spirits have been drawn to this tainted place. Release their bond to the world to claim the artifact of wild. That's not going to be for some time, but we do have to go to the sun chamber. Within the ruins of our home, we honor our fallen elders in a great hall. A chamber beneath the statue holds the artifact of world. That looks like all the information we're getting out of the area for now. Don't think that statue in the middle has anything for us. Wait a minute, there's one more. A tall cave stands at Phendrana's edge. Seek the unseen entrance at its top to find the artifact of spirit. Doesn't look like we have anything more we can get in this particular area for now. So it's time to depart and go and find some more equipment. Making sure to grab as many pickups as we can. I'll show you what to do because, as I said, we're going for 100%. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you very much for joining me. We'll kick that off with a Things You May Have Missed special before we wind up going to the Sun Chamber to fight the main boss of the Chozo Ruins. Until next time, this is Red 2, returning to base.